Good morning. Terrific. I think it's a very loud, clear morning. Everybody is up. Delighted to be here with all of you. We're waiting for Mr. Ashok Rao to come in. I think he's stuck in the morning, what is it called? Bangalore fiesta, which is like all the roads are jammed. Let me just start by saying that it is absolutely my privilege to welcome all of you to this TPM National Conference of CII. Whose theme is leveraging TPM for world-class manufacturing. One of the things which I wanted to highlight is that manufacturing sector, many of us may not fully appreciate, has actually grown broadly at the rate of about 13%. It's not a small rate of growth, but a lot more needs to happen here. Government has set a very tough target of increasing the share of manufacturing in the Indian economy, and this government certainly is fairly intent on moving in that direction with its Make in India campaign. And the target we have is almost to double this from 13 to 25%. So the need for manufacturing assets to be maintained at the world-class levels, because we don't no longer live in a protected economy. We live in an economy which is fairly competitive, open borders, and in such an economy, only those people who can grow and survive will be the ones who are very, very competitive. And in my view, TPM, the very process of TPM, enables manufacturing to be very competitive. In addition, this is supposed to be a key driver of jobs. So if people talk about jobless growth, that's an issue which I will come to a minute later, but the target government has set for this manufacturing sector is to create 100 million jobs. It's a broad-based approach. The issue which I think manufacturing industry faces is the manufacturing industry has become now intelligent manufacturing or digital manufacturing. These are all words you will hear going forward. And that effectively means these 100 million jobs which will be created will also be of a different kind and nature. So if we were focused on things like mechanical engineering in the past, in the future it is going to be mechatronics, a combination of electronics and mechanical. So interdisciplinary approach is going to become very, very critical. And this technological change also enables many people to achieve TPM in a very seamless manner. For example, you would have heard the view that GE monitors its aircraft's engines all the time, real time. So any aircraft flying anywhere, the real-time data is going to them, and they can actually maintain and run these aircraft engines at a high levels of reliability. So we are talking about Six Sigma reliability, which is really, really very, very high reliability in many applications. So the use of technology should not be seen threatening to all of us because you think all the process will get automated. What is the need for TPM? But it should be seen as an enabler to get to a higher level of reliability. And fundamentally, I think these things can't be reversed anymore. As far as practitioners of TPM are concerned, like you and me, we all have to adopt to this change. I remember when we started our journey on TPM, one of the TPM consultants came to the plant, and we had this large meeting in a hall like this where we were all seated together. And as usual, as head of that plant, I thought it was my privilege to arrive late. So he had already started. I was the last one walking in through the back door. There was a door at the back. Suddenly, everybody got up and started clapping. So I felt, why is everybody clapping on my arrival? Actually, there's a hushed silence whenever I go anywhere in the plant. And actually, this consultant had told all of them, since whomsoever comes last into the room will get thunderous applause from all of us. So that was my first shaming that I should come on time. That has always remained with me, that I should at least be on time in most of the meetings. Second thing, I sat, in the front, and I sat down. And this reminds me of Narendra Modi, because when Narendra Modi started all this Swachh Bharat and all, we started it much earlier. He took out a broom and he said, Mr. Head of Plant, I was BP Manufacturing in those days, Vice President, can you step up here to the stage? I went to the stage, similar to this, very similar room like this. And he then gifted me a broom. And he said, please applaud this gift which has been given to him. And then he said, you are not in a very privileged position as head of the plant. Actually, you must also take part in the daily activities which are happening in the plant, and you must lead by example. He didn't stop there. He actually paraded all of us out of the meeting room. He took us to the worst machine possible. This machine was spewing solids out of each vent possible. There was a huge spillover all over the place. And he says, we will all join you in cleaning the floor after stopping the machine. So we cleaned the floor. It was half an hour exercise. Then he took us back into the room. And he says, what are all the things which you noticed? So that's my learning, my start of a journey of TPM, which I really understood what TPM meant through this practical, and I can't forget this incident because it was fairly, I found it difficult, first 5 minutes holding the broom and cleaning. But then I actually ended up owning that machine. It was called dense ash machine, whatever. Basically, it makes the light product dense, which means it hammers them together. That's all it did. And it became the most productive machine in the plant. I said, if this is what my learning has to be, I have to lead by example. The machine which I have taken ownership of must become the most productive machine. And I used to worry about it every day. I think that's the kind of ownership we must bring to equipments and assets we have. I'll give you a second example. I was in Japan with a company called Chuo Hatsujo. They make tie rods for the vehicles. And basically, they bend it, they give it a stress and the stress relief, and then it sort of balances the vehicle when it travels on the road. So I was sitting in their factory, and he showed me an automated factory which had no workers. Literally a control room where the steel would go in and the tie rods would come out at the other end. Sorry, I'm digressing from my written speech here, which was given. But I thought it's more important to speak through anecdotes and real-life experience. And he said, this is the latest Japanese machine. And I said, terrific. I mean, I was completely astounded. We had got a very small order from Toyota to make tie rods for Toyota in Bangalore. And this machine was spewing out what we would have had to produce annually within about 2 days. We couldn't afford this kind of an expensive machine. After spending about half an hour around the machine, he says, I'm going to take you to the best machine we have. He took us to the next plant. This machine was much smaller, fairly automated with PLCs and everything. And he said, do you know the age of this machine? I said, I don't know. He said, this is pre-World War II. And it's a German machine. We love German machines. Whatever, this Japanese telling good things about German machines. And he says, we have incorporated intelligence at every step of the way into this old machine. And this is the machine which made us the money to buy the big machine. So, Mr. Mukundan, I'm in search of a machine like this machine which will make you enough money to buy that automated machine. So I said, sir, I really don't know where these machines are available. And he says, it is available in Bangalore. And we landed up in HMT. Our first entire equipment for supplies to Toyota came from HMT, the same very factory which we sort of sometimes say. So what I want to say is that machine is just an asset. I think it's about how we maintain, how we run it, how judiciously we take care of it, and it can give you world-class results. There are two different examples. One in a factory of our own, other one a technology supplier, world-class technology supplier who sort of taught us everything about TPM. Certainly people will talk about a great amount of automation these days, but I think that doesn't take away the human passion element of structured approach to delivering results to get a higher reliability, reduced variability. One of the things which I just want to highlight is the overall theme of CII in its context, what we do with our members. What is our job? Our job is not to just make some, the CII has changed its approach. In the past, CII would take the notes to government to get some tax concession, to get some duty concession, to get some protection. That was our job, lobbying with the government. But I think once 1990 happened, I think CII had a lot of soul searching, and we decided our job is not to go to Delhi and ask for these concessions. Our job is to make our members very, very competitive so that there is no need for concessions. We can stand up on our own feet and earn the profits which we truly deserve. And with that intent, we set up this Institute of Quality to drive the quality movement in India. Many companies actually started the journey using IQ services. I can talk about Tata Group. We started looking at this as a model. We then adopted the model within our companies, and most of our companies today are world-class and world-beating companies, thanks to the initial impetus we got from CII. And one of the things which TPM Club of India does is look at this whole issue of how do you use TPM as a tool to transform business? How do you share and discuss the success stories of this transformation? And that you will hear during the day. The other broad theme which we want to do is broadly looking at integrating flow of quality and unique production systems to discuss various flows in manufacturing like information, material, and to reduce wasted time. And innovation in TPM, we'll talk about TPM, how it promotes innovation and improvement culture in R&D and other areas. So fundamentally, I think we're going to discuss various elements of this through this workshop today, to these sessions today. The idea today is not to give you entire meal. The way it will be served is, these are like samplers when you go to a shop. You're going to get little samples of, in every session, little samples. Which sample you like, you don't like, that is up to you. But my only request to all of you when I speak at these conferences and when I sort of give this opening speech, these conferences are wasteful expenditure if we don't do one thing. If each one of us sitting in the room, through the sessions of the day, look at one idea here, which you can take back to your company and implement, and you implement it professionally, implement it with dedication, and you can bring about little change. Don't try to change the entire company. In your little workspace, in your little area of influence, if you can bring, I think we will bring momentous change, because in this room are present over 100 people. 100 change means a lot to us. So really my wish out of this conference is, each one of us takes that one single idea which you become passionate about, which you think is interesting for you, and you can go back and implement. And the help for implement, CIIQ through its TPM Club will give you. They'll give you access to the companies which have succeeded. We can only showcase them, but our hope is the entire view of world-class manufacturing spreads and seeps through Indian industry. So we are all partners in this progress, in this journey of competitiveness. I thank you for being here and wish you a fantastic journey ahead in the many years to build world-class manufacturing in India. Thank you.